It is frustrating to me how staunchly partisan many people are today, especially when it is clearly revealed that hypocrisy is rampant in all positions of political leadership. It is as if simply because someone calls himself a Republican or a Democrat, a liberal or a conservative, that people think they can trust everything and anything said person says or does as long as it treads the party line. Yet, after all we've seen be exposed in scandal after scandal, isn't it time that we put aside our continued naivete and embrace the fact that we just can't blindly trust most leadership at their word? Well, let's talk about that. So, once again, someone who has received great financial and positional benefit for advocating a specific belief system, in this case conservative values, has been exposed for not upholding said belief system within the privacy of their own lives. In reference to this, Florida GOP Chair Christian Ziegler is being investigated for an alleged sexual assault against a woman both he and his wife know. His wife, Bridget Ziegler, is one of the co founders of Moms of Liberty, a well known 401c nonprofit organization that focuses on defending parental rights. Now, although Moms of Liberty lists themselves as nonpartisan, they are known for being grounded in conservative values and are considered a right wing organization. In particular, they advocate against the influx of sexually explicit materials in school and in the rights of the parent to dictate what materials their children are exposed to, the which I am completely on board with, by the way. Bridget Ziegler is also a member of the Sarasota County School Board and currently is being pressured to resign from that position due to her involvement in the circumstances concerning her husband's alleged assault. That involvement, in particular, being that she and her husband were engaged in an intimate threesome with this woman who was allegedly assaulted. According to an article from the Business Insider, after a consensual threesome with the woman, the group scheduled a second rendezvous, but the unnamed woman canceled after she found out Bridget Ziegler wouldn't be able to attend, the Business Insider previously reported. The woman later told police that Christian Ziegler showed up at her apartment anyway and assaulted her, the Washington Post reported. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Bridget Ziegler was a co founder of the Moms of Liberty organization that actively promotes conservative values in parental rights, especially in the realm of any sexually inappropriate or immoral introduction of these things to children in our public school systems. And rightly so, because many of our schools have fully embraced indoctrinating our children with graphically inappropriate sexual materials to promote the LGBTQ agenda. Many teachers, in fact, have prioritized promoting their own personal social justice views on critical race theory, transgenderism, and LGBTQ issues onto our children instead of focusing on actually teaching them the subject that children are there to learn, i.e., math, science, history, etc. But here we have a self professing advocate of conservative values and her Florida GOP chair conservative husband, who fight to champion true moral values, discovered to be guilty of the very thing they supposedly oppose. This disingenuousness that is regularly exposed in much of our current leadership is why we are having to endure the difficulties we have in this country. Think about this. When you look at those who continually claim systemic racism, unfairness to people of color, and white privilege, do you see any of them struggling with these things? Do you see any of them suffering in the way you do because of these injustices? Or are they rich and living high in the hog because of their activism promoting these issues? Do we not even see some of those who claim to represent conservative values in leadership be exposed in sex or financial scandals? Coming in January of 2024, approximately 170 names involved with Jeffrey Epstein will be made public. How much would you like to bet that those mentioned on that list will be both liberal and conservative, white people and people of color, male and female? The only thing that will be consistent is that those mentioned will be people who are in positions of government leadership and others who are either rich, famous, or both. But this disingenuousness of what many claim to stand for isn't just in politics or in the rich and famous. For example, we all know that the standard of morality this country was built upon was based on Christian principles. But even now, more and more pastors and church leaders have sold out teaching biblical truth because they are more concerned with increasing their congregation size solely for the benefit of church fame and fortune for themselves. Sadly, how often nowadays do we find church leaders exposed for having affairs with members of their own congregation? How often do we find church leaders exposed for grooming children? Of all who are in positions of public leadership, there is no betrayal of trust more despicable than that of a church leader. But despite that, the truth is, this disingenuousness of leadership to gain personal advantage is rampant in all areas of our society, from the workplace to Hollywood, yes, to our government. And this is where we as the citizen must be willing to accept the reality that in wealth and power, being trustworthy is a lost virtue. We must be willing to accept that just because someone is saying something that strikes an emotional chord within us, it doesn't mean that what they're saying is true. We have to be willing to stop being blind, mindless followers of those who have high positions in life, because the truth is that most of them are attempting to keep you believing something that isn't the whole truth, just so they can benefit positionally and financially from your blind trust. This woman, Bridget Ziegler, is refusing to step down from the Sarasota School Board, even though she has been revealed to not be the morally sound person she portrays herself to be. That tells me two things. First, that although she has been exposed as being no different than those she accuses of being morally corrupt, she cares more about the position and money she makes being a so called champion of conservative values than she does about true personal moral integrity. And second, that her departure from Moms of Liberty was probably not her choice, as her choice to stay on the school board after being exposed clearly reveals her lack of truly believing all that she claims to uphold in conservative values. Her departure from Moms of Liberty was announced as her quote unquote stepping away to pursue other interests. But we all know that whenever someone in a high position is removed because of a scandal, this is pretty much always the public statement that is made. Now, not knowing for sure what the reason for her departure was, I personally believe that it is most probable that Bridget Ziegler left Moms of Liberty because it is an organization that seemingly takes their commitment of what they stand for seriously. Seriously enough that they hold their members accountable to actually live the standard they claim to believe. So, if indeed that is the reason for Bridget Ziegler's departure from Moms of Liberty, then kudos to them for first holding themselves accountable to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, a rare quality in today's society. Yet, the same attitude is the attitude we as the people should require of those in leadership. We should require those who claim to expose truth to be demonstrative of their commitment to reveal the whole truth, not just whatever part serves their own political, positional, or financial gains. Until we teach those with fame, fortune, or political power that we will hold them accountable for their disingenuous claims, they will continue to create the majority of problems that we as the people are having to face just so they can benefit from it. And I don't know about you, but I am exceptionally tired of these self proclaimed high and mighty social justice warriors trying to make me and my friends hate each other because of our race. I am beyond tired of having to tolerate those who purposely and actively promote division and hate under the guise of unity and love, just to line their pockets with as much money as they can get from doing so. It actually astounds me just how complicated certain people have been allowed to make life in this country. Things that are just simple have been made so complex that no one seems to have an answer, and many are living their lives feeling like there is no hope. This is what the disingenuous have created for us in this country. This is actually the strategy these people use to manipulate others so to keep them loyal to the party line. We all know there has never been a time that our country has been less racist than it is now. We all know that any person of color can apply themselves to their education and go on to successfully excel in their life. These race baiters, those who claim that isn't true, are the best examples of it. They studied, they got student loans like anyone else could, and they are living better lives than many of us. So instead of trying to create racial hate and a sense of hopelessness, why aren't they focusing on teaching young people the benefits of applying themselves to their education? Why not spend the time encouraging the young to take their education seriously instead of excusing away their unwillingness to take accountability for their own success? Well, the answer to that is because doing so would resolve many issues, and there really isn't very much money in solving problems compared to when you're driving the supposed need for social justice. The truth is that the overwhelming majority of Americans aren't racist. The overwhelming majority of Americans don't think that so called white privilege is an obstacle for anyone else. Most Americans are fed up with having to deal with issues that are not as bad as these disingenuous idiots try to make everyone believe they are. Most of us want fair and equal opportunity and justice for all, regardless of race. Most of us want people who assault others in these things to be punished. Every type of crime committed is committed by people of all races. And when you take the time to ask, the majority of us all agree in how wrong something is when it actually is something that is wrong, not when it is something embellished to deceive people for the sole purpose of promoting your own ideology. Unfortunately, these people who are the ones that truly live the privileged life because of their wealth, fame, or position, they are the ones who think that they know what is best for everyone, and then actively expect all of us to comply with their beliefs. Yet the truth is that in many cases, they are the ones who are creating the struggles of hate and division through their disingenuous proclamations of fighting for the oppressed. Thankfully, though, more and more we are beginning to see people like this being exposed for the hypocrites that they are, for how much they use their positions and power to create the strife many of us have to endure, all the while benefiting financially from it. Hopefully, those who so easily fall prey to these disingenuous idiots will open their eyes to see just how much they are being played and make the choice to no longer allow themselves to be led around by the nose like the fools these people use them for. Putting the hope for a better tomorrow in the hands of these kinds of people is what hopelessness really is. We are the ones who can make the changes happen when we are willing to hold our leaders accountable to operate solely in the truth. We will never overcome any issue facing us if we, as the people, allow ourselves to remain naive to the reality that the only thing we can rely upon is the truth. Hence, whenever anyone says anything that is hateful, divisive, accusing, I will always fact check it to make sure that I am not played as someone's fool. It is too easy to search online and discover the whole context of any story. Allow me to leave you with something to think about and what the motivation behind political and social activism probably is. Ask yourself, what is the profit for these political and social activists if the fight ends? How does a political party keep your support unless they can convince you that you're an oppressed victim that only they can save? Don't these self proclaimed social justice warriors find their fame and financial benefit from pushing the fight? Is it so hard for people to realize in the same way that drug dealers only thrive in wealth by keeping their users addicted? These disingenuous political and social justice activists only thrive financially by keeping the hate and division alive? There is no fame and financial benefit for them in there not being a fight. That's why they have to always embellish a lie about what is really happening in this country. And this is why I don't trust those who are divisive. That is why I will always search for the truth before I give anyone the ability to sway what it is that I believe. Shouldn't we all? So feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments and be sure to punch that like button if you agree. Also, thank you if you already have, but if you haven't, you would be a great help to me in growing the channel if you would hit that subscribe button. Hey, and as always, I'd just like to say God bless you and thanks for taking the time to listen. Until next time.